You're listening to IOE Insights, the UCL Institute of Education podcast at University College London.
Welcome to the Staffroom. I'm Elaine Long.
And I am Mark Quinn.
We are programme leaders on the UCL Early Career Teacher programme. Why are we in the Staffroom? We're here because this is where the best professional learning conversations always take place. This is where problems faced by teachers and leaders today can be explored critically and where meaningful connections between research and practice can be made.
Over the course of the series, we'll hear the voices of different colleagues as they come into the staff room, from ECTs to academics and executive leaders. We'll talk about all things education, the challenges and the joys. So why don't you enjoy a coffee with us, perhaps even grab a biscuit and sit down for an hour of staff room chat. Welcome to the staff room, Teddy Morgan. Teddy, we are really thrilled to have you join us in the staff room this afternoon. For the benefit of our listeners, we are right at the beginning of January. This is just the start of the spring term for everybody out there. So, Teddy, I'm going to ask you, did you get any nice drinks and nice biscuits over the Christmas holiday? And have you had enough, or do you want some more?
I definitely had enough. My mum bought me a tea advent calendar, so a different cup of tea every day.
For example?
I think my favourite one was, I think it was peach and hibiscus, which I'd never had before.
I'm sure we've got peach and hibiscus somewhere in our cupboard in the staff room. Would you like another cup of that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that was really nice.
And is there a biscuit I can bring with that for you?
Probably a chocolate bourbon, I've got to say.
It's one of our favourites. We've always got some of those. I'll get those, and I think Elaine's going to start talking proper grown-up stuff to you now.
Yeah, you're setting the bar high for us, Teddy, as I know you do in your teaching as well, which is why we're so excited to have you on the podcast. And start of term, you definitely deserve that comfy seat in the staff room, because going back to any job in January is very hard, but not least teaching. So I hope you can put your feet up a little bit. Can you start by telling our listeners a bit about yourself? We think they'll be interested in what attracted you to teaching and what brings you the most joy in your work.
Okay, so I grew up in Manchester, and then when I was 12 I moved to Gibraltar, which is a British overseas territory at the south of Spain, and it was interesting growing up there. They only had one school, so they had a boys' school and they had a girls' school, and looking back on it, the quality of education and safeguarding was not what you'd expect in the UK. And I think what it kind of opened my eyes to the power of teaching, because I'd always been very interested in learning. I did it on my own time. I loved learning, but I could see that those around me didn't, and I found that really confusing until I went to the school and realized, hang on, the teachers are not inspiring this in them. And so I kind of shelved that for a bit, went to university and got to third year of university, and I thought, I have no idea what I want to do. And then someone recommended to me, train to be a teacher. You don't have to do it forever, but I think you'll like it. I think you'll be good at it. And I was like, I won't be very good at it. So I applied, and I went to the interview, and I was sat in a UK school for the first time since I was 11. And I thought, whoa, this is different than what I remember school being like. I think I could do this, actually. I think I might really enjoy this. And thankfully I got a place in Sheffield, and I think I just fell in love, really. To my greatest hope, I was actually quite good at it. I could do it, which always made me quite happy. So I think
what do you like about it the most? What is it that brings you that joy?
I think, and this sounds a bit corny, it's seeing the joy that geography can bring to kids. Because I always knew it made me really happy, but it never seemed to make anybody else very happy, like in school. And then I got to teaching, and I saw that if I did it right and I did it well, they were engaged and they were listening and they were really pleased to be learning about this. And it's amazing. Like seeing a kid's eyes light up when you tell them a cool fact is just brilliant. And then seeing them connect. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on. We learned this last lesson. This links to this, miss. I'm like, that is the best feeling in the world.
And you said doing it right and doing it well, Teddy. That sounds like that's a really easy thing to do, right? Being a teaching geography well and teaching it right. I mean, can you say one or two things about what it means to teach it right and teach it well?
Sometimes it feels easy, and then sometimes I get to the end of the day and I think, wow, I didn't do any of that correctly. And then I think the main way is that I have found is that I have to make it relevant to them. I have to explain to them why I care, first off, and why they should care. And the reasons vary. Like for year 11, they should care because it will help them get a good job, and because I think it will help them be good people. For lower years, it matters because it's the world around them. It's the world they will be living in for the rest of their lives. And I tell them, if you don't understand the world you live in, you can't do anything to change it. If you don't understand what's happening around you, you can't change it, and then you'll be stuck like this. Which, yeah, that kind of works. I'm
already hooked, Teddy. My geography teacher definitely wasn't that interesting. I think I need to come to some of your lessons and then revisit it.
Yeah. So obviously you're doing some things right, and you said you found that almost straight away. You realized that you could do this, that when you started training, you thought, okay, there's something about you which was connecting, I guess, with the students, the young people you were working with in the placement schools, and obviously where you are now in Moorend Academy, which is great. We do know, of course, that it's not equally great for all teachers. And one of the reasons why some teachers listen into our podcast is because they know that we will address some issues that are faced by teachers and by leaders in schools today. And one of the issues that does come up for us quite frequently is about teacher well-being. I don't know if you saw it, Teddy, but there's the education support charity recently reported on some pretty awful statistics which they found from teachers in their survey, where 77% of them said they'd experienced poor mental health because of their job, due to the work. So my question is a big one. So it's about how does that kind of statistic, how do you react to that kind of statistic, I suppose? What would your experience have been as an early career teacher with well-being?
Well, I think hearing it makes me like sad and angry, because people should be doing more, and then like leaders and the government should be doing more to be helping this. And then I think, as far as like it matching my experience, the thing I found the hardest was when I was in the classroom. It was great. Everything was great. If I had the lesson planned, which I always tried to make sure I did, and I had everything I needed, it was wonderful and it was really fun. But then you'd have all this time outside the classroom and you'd have this long list of things to do. And I found it quite difficult to prioritize them, because some of them I'd look at and think, no one cares about this. It's a tick box exercise. No one cares. And then, so that'd be my bottom of priority list. And then someone would come in and go, where is it? I had misprioritized that. And I found that very stressful. I'm
sorry, Tony, can I just interrupt that? Is that because you were being asked for something from the leadership of the school and you didn't understand? Maybe you didn't really understand the point of it. Maybe it was a higher priority for them than it was for you. Is that what we're getting at? Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, and like once I had then, which looking back, I should have just done from the start, but it was like kind of first job awkwardness of I can't ask for too much help, but I realised that I could. Once I'd understood the need for this and the usefulness of it, it then became easier to prioritize. But yeah, not because you kind of arrive at a new job. It's like 2 days of inset, and you get everything. Here is everything you need to do and teach starting tomorrow. And yeah, it was extremely overwhelming. But the thing is, it's like, I don't know what else I could have asked them to do. That's the problem. Yeah. So then when I started my second year, I thought back to last September. I thought, I don't know, what if it's the same again? And then thankfully it wasn't.
What had changed for you in the 12 months?
I just become more confident, I feel. Because I knew what the priorities were. I also knew who to ask if I didn't understand, and I knew that they would answer my questions. And I feel very lucky because I'm pretty sure that is not the case in every school, where I know that if I go to leadership, they will listen and they will answer my question. And yeah, there's something productive will come out of that conversation. So yeah, I feel very fortunate with that.
Okay, because you've got a leadership that is approachable and does listen and responds when you need them to, yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand over to Elaine in a second, but I'm interested in where you think that 77% comes from, right? Because if leadership in the school, all they need to do is really listen and kind of explain the priorities for the teachers who don't understand why something's important that they don't think is important, if that's largely what it comes down to. What do you think accounts for so many teachers experiencing poor mental health due to teaching? What is it about the job, do you think?
I think it's that at Moorend, they pride themselves on having exceptionally strong behaviour with the kids. They were part of the first behaviour hubs thing with the government.
Yeah.
They lead that. And so the behaviour it's the best out of any school I've ever been to or worked at. And cool. I think if it wasn't, then the prioritising of other tasks, I don't even think would even register sometimes. Because if you've got 5 hours of constant overstimulation, abuse, really, upsetting behaviour from kids, then leadership can be fantastic. But if the behaviour isn't there, that's 5 hours of your day spent in a terrible environment. And, of course people are struggling. Because anyone would be.
Tell us a bit more about that. What is it that's so good about the behaviour that's in place?
I think it's the centre of everything. Everything comes back to behaviour. Everything they do comes back to behaviour. They are really, really clear with staff and with students exactly the process. And everyone uses the same language. And the kids are they are fantastic at knowing the behaviour policy inside and out. And so they all have their planners, they have comments in. If they get a certain amount of comments, they get a day into inclusion. And it's really clear what you get a comment for and what you don't. And there are different types of comments. And it sounds complicated. And I've explained it to people who work at different schools, like, how do you remember? And it took me a while at first. But the second you start implementing it and you become just one of the other teachers implementing it, the kids realise that, okay, right, we're going to behave, because they're really clear on what the consequences are. And I think the most importantly is that the parents are backing them up. The parents back the school up almost every single time.
That's really interesting, because one of the biggest stresses I've noted and people talk about in recent years is actually working with parents sometimes who don't share the same ideas or values about the behaviour policy as staff in the school. So what's gone on there to make it the parents are on side? There must have been a lot of work that's taken place with the community to ensure that.
Oh yeah, massive amounts of work, I think. As well, we have members of staff who are just pastoral, as in that's their entire job. They are not teachers. They do not teach, and so it's quite separate in like a job role kind of way, if that makes sense. So the head of years I mean, I've got a senior head of year as well. They only do pastoral and behaviour. And I think that makes it easier for parents, because they come to parents' evening, and if there's a behaviour problem, well, go and talk to head of year. They'll know more about it than I will. And they know that teachers are just focused on teaching the best lesson. And what they try and say, they say a lot, is it's not Miss versus kids. It's not me versus you as a student. It's you versus the behaviour policy, not me versus you. And like, I'm not attacking you and having an argument. You are not following the behaviour policy. Here as a sanction. Like, you know, I think parents really support, and also like the pastoral team are amazing because they're really experienced in this, and they don't have other priorities, just student well-being and parental contact. And so, you know, parents understand that this is the person to go to, and they understand that they're on the kids' side. They want what's best for them. And yeah, I think that helps a lot.
So it sounds like there's a big investment in pastoral care in the school as well, quite proactively, to care for students as well. So positive behaviour is one enabler of well-being in a school. What do you see as some of the other enablers of well-being in a school?
I think clarity. There have been times when they changed the behaviour policy, and you're not quite clear on why or how, and that causes massive amounts of chaos. And thankfully they're under that once, and then they've like done it more gradually since, which has really helped. But I think clarity is the main thing, because if it kind of just feels like emails are flying at you and you don't know what's going on, you don't know why they're doing all this, everything's changing year on year, it's very hard to build consistency. I think that's one part of it. I think also the part of it is culture in the school. Like, are other people happy to be there? You know, do they enjoy working there? If you're surrounded, if everyone else is upset, obviously you're going to be as well. And it makes things harder, I feel.
One of the things I hear you talk about a lot, Teddy, is you're conscious that you play a role in your well-being as well, because you say, well, when I'm doing it right, or when I get this right, or when I do this. So you're a geography teacher, so I'm going to use a geography metaphor, but there seems to be a sense you're conscious that you also make the weather in your own classroom. And I just wonder if we're thinking about ECTs listening to this. Of course, culture matters and behaviour policy matters, but what also are the active things ECTs can do to enable their own well-being as well?
I think I try and maintain a really clear, and I'm quite strict with myself about like work-life balance. Like I try really, really hard not to bring marking home, partly because I'm scared I'll lose it, but also that when I'm here, when I'm at home, I'm not at work, I'm not teaching, I'm trying to switch off from it as much as possible. And the school, again, it's a culture thing of they don't send emails at weekends, they don't send emails during holidays. The only time they will contact you outside of working hours is for like an emergency, they're closing the school or whatever. And they are really, really strict about that, which I think helps. But I think as well, and what I tell like other teachers and like other ECTs is that you've got to find the joy in it. And that is something that as a person I actively have to do, because it can be quite easy to kind of get like frustrated and overwhelmed. But I have to kind of remind myself that no, I'm the adult in the room, you're in my classroom, I'm taking a step back, taking a deep breath, and I'm going to try and find the joy, focus on the good these kids are doing. Because there's always something, there's 30 of them, one of them is doing something good at any point. Hopefully even if 29 are not, one of them is doing something well. And sometimes I have to kind of not ignore it, but focus on that person doing well, thank them, praise them, and then deal with whatever this is. I found that quite helps as well. And also, like, kids are funny. They are funny, weird little creatures, and I sometimes take a moment to kind of think back on all the funny stuff during
So
the day.
I think we've got the tagline for the podcast, Elaine. Kids are funny little creatures. Quote Teddy Morgan. I think it's really. I mean, I think this is worth pressing even harder, Teddy, because I think it's really, really important. I mean, for a start, that stat that I quoted a while ago about the 77% of teachers. If 3/4 of the teaching profession are feeling mentally strained by the job, then there's definitely a conversation that we need to have about why this is. And obviously, you can any individual can only talk about from their own individual experience, which is what you're doing. And you don't stand for the 77%. But I think we do know that some of the research about well-being talks about it being about a sense of connectedness to the place that you're working, a sense of feeling valued for the work that you do. I think it's also connected to your competence as a teacher. Actually, if you're teaching well, you're likely to also feel better about your teaching. It's certainly from the perspective of leaders, and I want you to think about leaders now. Leaders, we know that if leaders can help you understand that the work is meaningful, that the work you do is meaningful, even the admin tasks that they want you to do that seem like a tick box, but which maybe actually do have meaning, and that your work is manageable so that you don't have to take marking home every day, or you're not burdened over the weekend always. Those things really do add to well-being. So you've already talked a bit about culture I think we agree that culture doesn't sit by itself. Leaders can help create culture in a school. So what would you say that leaders do, either in your own school or from the experience that you know from talking to other friends in teaching? What is it that leaders do that builds a culture that does support well-being?
I think they communicate, and something I think the school has especially improved on, I don't think it was always this good, is that whenever they do change something, instead of it being, right, here is the new way we're doing X, we have a whole staff meeting about it. Sometimes only 10 minutes long. The new behaviour stuff is only over 10 minutes long, really. We've looked at it, we're going to try this, here's why. But if we changed recently how we do assessments throughout the year for data drops, and they explained why they had thought of doing this, and they had already gotten staff feedback, and they trialed it in core subjects first, then took feedback from that, and then basically implemented it in the rest of the school. And kind of hearing that helped, because yes, it was now pretty decent amount of work of changing the order of lessons and making all these new assessments and figuring out when you're going to mark them and moderate them, and that was quite a bit of work, but it helped to kind of think back of, right, at least someone has planned this. Right, I have the confidence that somebody has sat down, quite a few somebodies, and planned it out, and they've explained to me why they think it will help, and they're also willing to listen to feedback about it. And that's nice when you're sat there this is going to take me several hours, but I know why I'm doing it, at least. And I mean,
so you understand the rationale behind a major change.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing.
So Teddy, some of the people listening to this podcast today might think they recognize your voice, and they might be able to picture you because they've seen clips of you on UCL Extend. So if the listener happens to be a mentor or an early career teacher on our program, they may well have seen images and clips of you talking and giving advice about what it is to be an early career teacher and how to be a successful one, because we recorded short interviews with you a few months ago. In fact, it was last summer, I think it was. which was at the end of your first year of the program. And so you are the perfect person to ask this question, which is advice. What advice would you like to give to an early career teacher who is starting their first post this year or next year?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I learned was always ask questions. Like my mentor told me, and I feel very fortunate for this, that there was no silly questions. Any question I had, come and ask her. She'd rather me ask a slightly annoying question and know versus not knowing. And then, yeah, ask questions. And if they don't know the answer, hopefully they'll point you to someone who does. And I guess if people don't want to answer your questions, maybe the culture is not quite right for you. And I always try and tell, especially like starting trainee teachers, to just laugh occasionally. Just sit back and laugh. Okay, like, you know, maybe not like at the children, maybe with the kids.
That's where I went wrong. Now I know.
Yeah, I can get a bit touchy about that, but yeah, like I always try and someone else told me to do this.
Accessing the joy, yeah.
Yeah, I try and share that with other teachers as well, because like I feel like sometimes it is nice to have like a bit of a kind of a goss and like a moan. I always try and say, oh well, so and so said this, and it was like really funny, and share the positives of, oh yeah, they understood this today, or so and so didn't storm out the classroom today, or yeah, try and just spread, because that encourages other people to tell you their funny stories, which I think
you're never short of an anecdote, are you, in teaching? It's one of the best things about teaching, really.
You can also always appoint yourself as teacher in charge of fun as well, couldn't you? You know, it's my informal teaching role or responsibility. I'm going to be in charge of bringing a funny story into the staff room at break time.
I think that's a TLR, isn't it?
I might mention that, yeah.
I'd go for that, Teddy. We're sadly coming to the end of the podcast. I can hear the bell about to ring, but before we go, it's tradition that we hand all our guests the post-it note. So here is yours, and you get to write anything you want on your post-it note, and you get to decide where you will stick your post-it notes. It could be on an early career teacher's planner, it could be in the staff room toilets, it could be on a head teacher's desk, it could be in the DFE offices. It's up to you. So what would you write on your post-it note, and where would you stick it?
I think I would write on my post-it note, find the joy. I think that's the big thing that I've learned over the last year and a bit, is you've got to find the joy in it. And if you can't find any joy, get out. Run. Yeah, find the joy. And I think I see that everywhere. And I think the DFA could do with a bit of joy. They might, do something then.
Well,
sounds like good advice.
Just as you mentioned the DFE, the bell rings, Teddy, reminding us that we've got to let you go home and reclaim your well-being and your work-life balance, not us keeping you too late in the office after school. Talking about joy, did you enjoy your tea? Was that a nice cup of tea?
I did. That was really nice. Yeah.
What was it? What was it again? I can't remember.
Peach and hibiscus.
Oh, peach and hibiscus. Yes, I don't know why I forgot that. Look, it's been a joy for us having you with us. I remember watching those little clips of your videos that you made for us last summer, thinking this is the person we need to get on our podcast. So you've vindicated our decision to invite you on. Really delighted. I'm glad that you're finding the joy, Teddy, that you're obviously doing great stuff in those geography lessons up in Huddersfield. Good luck with the rest of this year. We should have happy New Year, but certainly good luck with the rest of the year. And thank you again.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Our thanks go to Teddy Morgan for sharing her peach and hibiscus tea and chocolate bourbon with us this week in the staff room. Teddy is a second year ECT geography teacher at the Moor End Academy in Huddersfield.
Please do get in touch if you would like to be part of the conversation. Click on the link at the end at the bottom of the UCL staff room webpage.
And if you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, there's more where that came from. Search IOE Insights from wherever you get your podcasts to find episodes of the Staffroom, as well as more podcasts from the IOE.
And a quick favour before you go. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we'd really appreciate it if you could give the IOE podcast a rating. 5 stars would be nice if you're enjoying the show. And that will help us to reach more people who are interested in hearing what the Staffroom is all about.
Thanks for listening. Search IOE Insights for more podcasts from the IOE.